October 15th is marked and celebrated as the International Day for Rural Women. And in celebrating the day, that's why we're having this very impactful session. That's why we're here today to get to learn from some women changing the narrative as far as agriculture is concerned. So the entire webinar today is about the different sectors and different issues that affect the rural women. But one major sector industry we will be talking about is agriculture. And all our panelists, all our speakers today are well grounded. They've done one thing or even more than one, two or more things as far as agriculture is concerned. So I'll just quickly take you through the organizations for putting this together. The organization bringing all of us together to do this. The HortiNigeria program is funded by the Embassy of the Kingdom of the Netherlands in Nigeria, and it is led by the International Fertilizers Development Center, IFDC, in collaboration with consortium partners, with a primary focus of fostering a sustainable and inclusive horticulture subsector. The program aims to enhance food and nutrition security in Nigeria. A key component of HortiNigeria's mission is inclusion, reflected in its ambitious target to engage 40% youth and 50% women within its intervention. Now, this webinar forms part of the broader campaign to empower these target groups, promoting their active participation in horticulture value chain. In alignment with this effort, Swis Africa is dedicated to celebrating, promoting, and empowering African women in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Now, doing this through storytelling, innovative programs, and strategic partnership. Swis Africa shines a spotlight on women breaking barriers in STEM. Their initiative ranging from interviews and publications to educational programs like what we're having today to offer young women the tools, the skills, and opportunities, inspiration needed to succeed in these fields. Swis Africa's mission is to educate, enlighten, and empower the next generation of women STEM leaders, fostering a culture of innovation and inclusion across the continent. So this webinar we're having today is brought to you by Swis Africa, HortiNigeria, and of course, this is led by the International Fertilizer Development Center, IFDC. And the fantastic women we'll be speaking to today will also open our eyes and opportunities to what is to come and how to navigate the agricultural sector in Nigeria. So before introducing the panelists, I'll let you meet me. My name is Yasmin Obadeki. I am the founder of Matter Network. Matter Network is a platform created to help women live their best version of themselves, help women build their voices, help women live in their truth. And we do this through our monthly trainings, our workshops, our conferences, and just bringing women together, creating a sisterhood, and helping them in building their self-esteem. So it is a great pleasure for me, and it's an honor to moderate this session with all these awesome women here today. So I'll quickly introduce, normally for doing this a physical session, this is the point everybody gets to put their hands together and say, oh, okay, thank you very much, thank you very much. So good afternoon properly, and welcome to a session that would definitely change your life to how agriculture is seen, viewed, and operated and navigated through in Nigeria. I'd like to introduce the panelists right now, and the very first panelist we'd like to introduce will be Tolulope Aino. Tolulope Aino, an innovation, gender, sustainability, and business development expert. She is a dynamic agricultural professional with 9 years experience in agriculture. She supports experienced business and researchers across entrepreneurs across various industries by nurturing their ideas to commercialization and also scaling their initiative through data-driven market insights. Core to her work is empowering women, especially in undeserved communities-led initiatives, by providing them with required training, support, as a means to safeguard their livelihood. Tolulokwe is a seasoned speaker and has featured and awarded at global events by the United Nations Food System Summit, CRA Splash, One Young World, 111112 Foundation, and the World Bank. Currently, she works with Rothenburn Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, can we just put our hands together to appreciate Tolulokwe Aino? So wherever you are, you can just type and just do this. When you type, just put the class. Oh, thank you. Fantastic. Now I love this audience. Thank you. Tolulokwe Aino, she will be discussing how rural women and horticulture face barriers to climate financing and business scaling, and how financial literacy and sustainable practices. So having her here today is a good one, not just for women in the industry, but for women interested in doing something with the horticulture to learn how to break these barriers and work with them. It is my pleasure to welcome you to Lulokwe Aina again. Good afternoon, ma'am, and welcome, ma'am. Can you please put off your mic and say something? You're welcome, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you to the organizers for inviting me here, and I look forward to.
It's so nice to meet you, Tolulokwe Aina. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. And moving forward now, we'd like to introduce our second panelist, Olajumoke Daramola, specialist in advisory service Africa at Women's World Banking. Can we have her? Can we have her quickly? Can we have her quickly? Good afternoon. Can we hear her say hello, please?
Hi, Yasmin, and good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for having me here. I look forward to having fruitful conversations. Thank you.
Look forward to the same. Thank you very much, ma'am. We would like to welcome and also recognize the presence of Ambassador Hussaina Ahmad Yahya, the MD, Amalco Oil Mills and Amalco Global Links. Amalco Oil Mills and Amal Global Links are known for supplying animal feeds to hybrid feeds, olam, livestock, top feeds, and other poultry feeds producers. She is the former National Vice President of Nigerian Association of Small Industries, the former President, Kano Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines, and Agriculture, Kasima, National Vice President, Association of Small Scales Manufacturers. Ambassador Hussaina Ahmad Yahya, following her interest in promoting a peaceful and inclusive society, Hajia Hussaina was appointed 2024 Girls Women Speak Ambassador by the United Nations International Association of World Peace Advocates. She is the CEO of Habiba Maternity and Nursing Home, proudly caring for women in both rural and urban areas. She is also providing affordable opportunities for safe birth space for low income and other marginalized women in Kano State. She will be speaking on agripreneurship and vocational education, empowering women and the youth, fostering economic independence, inclusive growth, and sustainable community development. Ladies and gentlemen, can we please welcome Ambassador Hussaina Ahmad Yahya, MD, Amalco Oil Mills and Amal Global Links. You're welcome, Hajia.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me today.
It's so good to have you, Hajia. I would quickly like to introduce our next panelist. She is Olamide Alawo-Akala, the CEO of Mera Farms. She is a beacon of entrepreneurial spirit and agribusiness.
So Next on our list, we would like to talk about Aishatu Ahmed. Aishatu Ahmed is the leader of Hanwa Temoko Women Multipurpose Society, which is a farmers group registered since 2000 with Kaduna State Authority. The association has registered more than 100 members under the supervision of HortiNigeria program. The association produces vegetables during both dry and wet season. They farm okra, tomatoes, pepper, onions, and green peas, and also sweet corn. Through her leadership, the women group locally process tomato and pepper by drying to ensure year-round access to these vegetables. Aisha is a member of the Gender-Based Violence Technical Working Group, supported by United Nations Population Funds, advocating for gender equality and empowerment for women and girls. Aisha is a midwife by profession with working experience in public health services in Kaduna State. Now, during the webinar today, we will learn from Aisha how she empowers rural women farmers through sustainable farming, local processing, and partnerships like HortiNigeria while advocating for gender equality. Welcome Aishatu Ahmed to this seminar. So Aishatu, if you can, please, can you just unmute yourself for a minute there and let us hear your voice.
Hello, good afternoon all. Hello, good afternoon all. Hello.
Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon.
Good afternoon, Aisha, and thank you so much for coming. We appreciate that you're here with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, my
Okay,
appreciate. Yes.
All right, thank you. You can just mute yourself so that we go ahead to talk about Zainab. So our next panelist this afternoon is Dr. Zainab Lal Guadabe. Now, so Dr. Zainab Guadabe is currently joining us from Italy, Rome, where she is featuring in the World Food Forum 2024, organized by the Food and Agricultural Organization. And this year's theme is Good Food for All, for today and tomorrow. So Dr. Zainab is the CEO of Seed Project Co. Limited, a leading seed company in Nigeria, committed to addressing food security, nutrition, and economic empowerment through the production, processing, and marketing of high-quality seeds. She is a dedicated agripreneur and academic. Dr. Guadabe has built a reputation for promoting climate-resilient, biofortified seeds that improve the livelihood of smallholder farmers, particularly women and youth. Under her leadership, Seed Project Company Limited has initiated numerous impactful programs that integrate rural women into agriculture. And interestingly, she has about 75% of the workforce being women and focuses on sustainable agricultural practices. Now, during this seminar, Dr. Guadabe will discuss on the transformative impact of climate resilient seeds for rural women farmers. Thank you, one and all, and welcome. So we are going straight into the question. We're going to have Dr. Zainab say a brief hello to everybody this afternoon. So if you can hear your voice, Dr.
Hello, everyone. Happy to be here.
Thank you so much. So in no particular order, we are going. In no particular order, we're going to be starting our questions, and I just want to inform our guests online that you can drop your questions in the chat box. It's so that we will go through it and we can be able to answer the questions as they come. So we're going to be starting our question this afternoon from Olajumoke Daramola. Olajumoke Daramola works with Women World Banking. Welcome once again, Jumoke.
Thank you, Bukola.
So, Jumoke, the first question we have for you is on women-centered financial solutions. So you have been involved in creating women-centered solutions at Women's World Banking. How do these solutions address the specific financial needs of rural women farmers? And what additional support might be necessary for their success?
Thank you, Bukola. I'm going to start by saying that at Women's World Banking, We believe that recognizing and investing in women's financial inclusion is not just a response to climate change, but it's a proactive strategy for sustainable development. And at Women's World Banking, we use a women-centered design methodology, which is the core of the work that we do. We adopt this design methodology with the women being the core of the approach, which sets the pace for every other thing that we do, because we believe that designing for a man leaves the woman behind. But we've seen that when you design for a woman, it encourages similar adoption rates among men and women. So to your question in terms of what have we been doing to address these financial needs of women, rural women farmers, especially low income women, one of the things that we've been doing is, one, creating product designed specially for women, taking into consideration their peculiarities, especially for the low income women. Please confirm that you can see and hear me. Yes.
Yeah, we can see and hear you, Jumoke.
Yes, thank you very much. So when at Women's World Banking, designing for women, we take into consideration their peculiarities, what makes them tick, especially for rural women. We've seen that women are time poor, they have limited resources. For women in the horticultural sector, for instance, their products have limited span. Their crop cycles, everything is different. So designing for them should take into consideration all these peculiarities. Then we can now say that we have created a product that will be relevant for them and they can use, solving the problem that they have, not something that we perceive them to have. Another thing is addressing non-financial needs of these women. We've seen that when you embed financial solutions into their way of life, it's easier for them to adopt. Who are the people that they trust? Who are the people that they listen to? Embedding all this, taking them into consideration, is now easy for them to adopt the products. Then what type of products are we providing for this product? There are certain climate resilient products that they should have when we come to insurance products, savings products, and even credit facilities. But you would see that sometimes on their own, these products cannot be taken individually. So how do you drive adoption? Bundle these products together. We bundle insurance into target savings. We bundle insurance into credits. We bundle insurance into regular savings accounts. Then that way the woman is empowered. In case she needs emergency funds, target savings comes to help. If there is an issue, climate issues, then insurance, she's insured against loss of properties, loss of loss of produce. Things like that would help improve the financial needs, and rather help address the financial needs of these women. I know in the interest of time, I'm just trying to keep my responses short so that they don't sound so rushed. So climate resilient product, like I've said, would help go a long way. Then the peculiarity of these women, low income women, you see technology products to drive, but due to their technology, or we like call it digital literacy level, how literate are they digitally? So we might not be able to, going fully digital with them might not work. Then the feed digital approach, that's introducing human touch points and technology together, we call that phygital. So there's a fiscal aspect to guide them through, to handhold them. So as they graduate from relying on third parties, then they go to doing it themselves. Then they graduate to teaching other people. So we have something in Women's World Banking that we call it learning by doing, where we teach these women to undertake this, to be able to perform these transactions themselves. So they are gradual and it becomes a way of life and it's some sense of achievement. So these are some of the ways that we promote or improve or advance financial inclusion amongst segments. Thank you very much, Paula.
Yes, thank you so much, Jumoke. And I hear you, especially when you talked about climate resilient product. We'll be taking a deep step further with that with Tolulope. I especially heard when you said, embedding financial solutions with their lifestyle ensures that they are able to adopt and that we are not causing a friction within what they already know how to do. So I'll be picking up that to actually push this next question to Olamide Alao Akala on her strategies for empowering rural women entrepreneurs. So, Olamide, this next question is for you. As the CEO Women Initiative, your CEO Women Initiative has transformed 30 rural women into entrepreneurs. And Jumoke has just talked extensively about some of the challenges they face. So, what key lessons have you learned that you would want to share with this audience that you have learned that are your experience that could be applied to supporting rural women in horticulture, particularly, as Jumoke has said, those with low literacy and numeracy levels? Thank you. So the question is for you, Olamide.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Bukola, and thank you so much, everyone. So first and foremost, the CEO Women Initiative was created just to support women and empower them so that they can be able to take care of their immediate needs, because we found out that a lot of women were just doing the work for other people and were not empowered for themselves. So that was why we decided to do the CEO Women Initiative. However, in doing this, we realized that a lot of women, the rural women most especially, will start these businesses and then they could not continue to, they could not turn over what they were doing. And this was because they had no education. And we had to bring in extension services to make sure that they were educated and they understood what they were working on. Because basically you get crops, you don't know how much has gone into the crops that you have planted, and then you just sell it for whatever that you can get. So we've been trying to train them, make them understand the cost that has gone into what they are doing and the kind of returns they're supposed to get based on what they have been doing. But one of the key lessons also that we've learned from dealing with these women is that most of them do not really have the access that is needed to. Sorry, can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you, Olamide. Okay, and sorry, we can hear you. And if you can also, please, can you put on your video? We also want to see you. Okay. So I think Olamide is also having some network glitch, and we will pass and we will get back to her. But I heard when she said, she talked about sustainability has been a huge challenge that she has noticed with working with women. You want them to continue to do these things that we have introduced into the community, which now brings me to Tolulope on sustainable agricultural practices. Sorry. Hello? Yes, we can hear you, Olamide. So are you back now, or we were thinking of shifting? Okay, so we can hear you.
Okay, so for the CEO women, basically what we did was we decided to train them. We decided to not give them, because we're giving them access to funds before. We decided to stop giving them access to funds, and then we train them on how to farm, and then we give them the inputs that are needed on the farm. And with these inputs, we help them to calculate the funds that have been invested in the inputs and the returns that they get from that input when they go to the markets to sell. So that's how we've been able to help them, basically. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you very much, Olamide. And please, next time we would also want to see your face, so you can oblige us to put on your camera. Thank you so much for that question. Yes, thank you. And yeah, thank you for your insight. And you have also suddenly rolled us into our next ball, which is with Tolulope. So now Olamide spoke extensively about sustainable interventions, how we can ensure that we adapt our practices to ensure that the women we are working with are not for short term, but for long term. So Tolulope, what do you think is the role of mentorship in agribusiness? And how do you think mentorship plays a role in advancing women's participation in agriculture? And if you can also oblige us with some models of agricultural mentorship that you know about.
Okay, yes, just to keep this response very constructive. First of all, I like to approach mentorship from the part of doing, right? You cannot provide mentorship and direction for people if you have not walked the route yourself. Mentorship is supposed to be action-oriented, it's supposed to be a safe space, it's supposed to provide direction. So mentorship, for me, if I look at it in the grand span of things, for instance, a reliable person that will be a mentor in the village is probably a successful petty trader if you are trying to encourage more people to understand what works. So mentorship, you build it models around those that are actually doing these things, and how do they effectively, get it done. And then creating that safe space and ecosystem is what we then continue to advise, support, and encourage more people to tailor that part. For me, I'm a mentor myself, and I try to put myself in context, right, for value, because what people do not see the value in, they do not appreciate. I also say something, because as much as we talk about mentorship, it's also good to talk a little bit in the side of the mentees themselves. The role and the need to actually choose your mentors wisely, because again, a mentor speaks, it may look like an advice, but in some cases it's a rule. And so it's very important that you choose your mentors wisely, because it influences, and of course, what a mentor's role is actually to show you how to not make the mistakes that they've made. For instance, I'm sure early on in my career, maybe first 3 years in my career, I made some mistakes. And now as a mentor, engineering maybe into a product or a project whereby, there are lots of startups. Of course, the ideas and the values I bring to the table is just so that the mentees don't make those same mistakes, and gives them, that ladder to fly. On mentorship, also for models, I see a lot of organizations these days actually structure mentorship into their programs. For me, I serve as a mentor in a number of organizations, and I will just walk us through one. A mentorship arm of a project, maybe a business development project that incubates startups from ideation stages to, because I also currently consult for an organization, but in the past I have functioned for them as a mentor. So what they do is they take through the whole business validation. You have an idea, give you venture creation expertise, and then take you through to prototype development. And then at the end of the program, you have a minimum viable product or a proof of concept that could be hardware or software backed up. Now, the role of mentorship in that kind of program is to feed into the programs what the program beneficiaries may not directly be able to tell their project managers, for example. Because yes, they're part of a program, but then being a part of the program doesn't mean they'll be able to clearly express their challenges. So in essence, mentorship provides clarity, provides direction. It gives a safe space, it gives guidance, and then it also helps, that possible mistake it's just like a baby that is trying to walk, crawling, needs assistance because he becomes an expert in crawling. And then walking, when a baby wants to start walking, You also need that hand-holding approach to guide so that the child will not just fall off and fall down. So these are just simple insights I have to share about mentorship.
All right, thank you so much, Tolulope. And especially when you talked about mentee and mentors, you know that the mentee should also have, you know, the opportunity to choose who they would look up to as a mentor, and that the mentor has a big role to play in how development outcomes actually come, you know, actually translated, how we translate our goals into outcome. And then I also heard that, you know, mentors give clarity, direction. A mentor is somebody that should be able to provide you with steps that you need to guide you. And so you have rolled a big shoe for Aisha Ahmed to fill in. So this next question is for Aisha Ahmed because she is a mentor. She plays the role of the leader of Hanwa Temoko Women Multipurpose. So Aisha to Ahmed, this question is for you. Now, Tolulope spoke largely about the role of mentors in the outcome of their mentees. So Aisha, this question is for you, and it is that how has your leadership in the Hanwa Temoko Women Multipurpose Society empowered women farmers in your community? How have you been able to do that? And what specific challenges have they faced in the journey? And how have you navigated their compass, you know, to the right way? So the question is for you.
Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon, all. Yes, we had under leadership of Hanwa Women Multipurpose Society, we had many farmers, and we were able to register farmers. And under my leadership, I try to encourage women to farm more of vegetables than other things, instead of maize, grains, and others. So we encourage women to do more of vegetables. Vegetables have a lot of profit in it. Number one, we were trained on how to do modern way of farming vegetables, not the traditional way that we do before. The traditional method was not really bringing more profit. But during the training by HortiNigeria, we were able to be trained on how to do the modern farming. And also we had a lot of trainings. We were trained on how to select the seed, because if you cannot select a good seed, you will not have what you want to in the farm. You will not have more profit and more produce in the farm. And also we were also trained on how to make the seedlings. Instead of putting it in the farm, we can use it in a tray. We can make our seedlings at home locally. We can do it. Then after some days, we take it to the farm and plant it. We also do that. And also as a leader, we had a lot of achievements. Now, most of our women can farm on their own. They farm their own farm, and also they farm at home. In a small space, a woman can have her tomatoes there and her okra, which she can harvest at any time and use it in her home to cook. So most of the women are being taught on how to make these vegetables at home so that they can reduce the spending or buying from the market. They can have more access to it. And also, we had some, we cannot say that we have no challenges. We have some challenges which include most of the women don't have their own farm. So when you lease a farm, it's very costly to get a farm now. And also in Kaduna, we have some areas that women cannot go and farm because of the insecurity. And also, some of the farms are not access. We don't have access because of the distance to go to the farm. And also in the wet season farming, we had a lot of challenges where we have now high price of petrol. which we need to put in the irrigation pump to pump it. So also we lack pumping machine, the modern pumping machine. So we use the other previous machine that we have to use and put fuel. And fuel now is very costly. So for most of the women, we have those challenges. And they also for in the training, women are trained to do multiple cropping. This year or this wet season, you can use okra. Then the next season, you can put tomato in the farm. So, or you can mix the two together so that she can have tomato and the long pepper or the okra mixed in one farm, which will reduce the cost of getting another farm. If she cannot afford to have two farms, she can have a farm and have the multiple cropping in it. And also we have the ones monocropping or soil cropping. She can do it at home. She can get a tire or a sack, a bag of or a sack so that she can put her crop in it so that she can easily access in her own home. She can use it at home and she can even pluck small and sell it so that she can get to buy maybe palm oil or other things that she needs to mix in her soup. So also now in the achievements we have now, HortiNigeria linked this women group with Simke that process tomatoes in Zaria. She's presently in Zaria. Her company is in Zaria. So we are in partnership with her. So I think this is what I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aja Aishatu. I know if I allow you, you will go on and on about the achievements, which shows that you have been an important mentor to your mentees in the group. But then we also hear that irrespective, there are still some challenges, which brings us to the question we have for Ambassador Usaina Ahmed. Ambassador Usaina, with your extensive experience working across different sectors and different organizations, the question is that you have held leadership position in organizations that promote small-scale industries. And you hear when Aisha talked about the challenges they are still having during the wet season farming, there's price hike. During dry season farming, price hike to run the petrol for irrigation. They have long distances. There are some farms that are still not accessible for women because of the distance. So what specific advice do you have for rural women entrepreneurs like Aisha and the rest of the women that we're working with in HortiNigeria? What advice do you have for them to expand their businesses, especially in sectors like agriculture and agribusiness? So this question is for you, Ambassador.
Okay, thank you so much, Bukola. Are you hearing me? Are you hearing me?
Loudly and clearly, we can hear you.
Okay, so I heard what Hajia Aisha said. You know, any agribusiness cannot be completed without industry, without small-scale industries. So it is good for women after farming or after producing, they have to make sure that they are processing. They are processing, after processing, packaging, after packaging, then selling it to the markets. So now, small-scale entrepreneurs or small-scale industries, small-scale business are the businesses that are giving GDP of Nigeria for more than 75% now. You know, so we have to train women and enlighten them on how to make sure that they are doing small business in their home, because after they cannot be, the small business or industry cannot be completed without consultancy. You know, you have to consult the people that are in the business to know what is the business, what is the challenges of that business, how this business will be expanded, how this business will be sustainable. So by this thing can be happen by forming cooperative groups. Can also this thing can happen also by making women into different cooperative groups, joining association, attending seminars, attending capacity building trainings like these workshops and so on. So with this tomato of Hajia, she can get the farmers, and they can make a group of people to be off-takers, that they will carry that tomatoes to her factory, and from her factory she will process it and package it well. So from there, then their product will be going to the markets. So from this, we started, like me, example of my business now, granite oil. This granite oil, I'm started with buying granite. From buying granules, then I started selling to let me start producing the oil. I'm selling it, I'm producing it. Also, I'm carrying my product to market. I have shop in the market that I'm selling my product. So as a rural woman, they have to organize themselves in group. Some may do this, some may do that, some may do that. Maybe they can divide themselves, producers, processors, and wholesalers. So as a private organization, private sectors, we are always going to the people that are in the same business with them to see what is their capacity, how are they going to help them, and call them nearest to us. Like me, if I went to the village that are producing granite, I used to go there and buy all the granite from them. I also used to give them money also to start doing their local granite, because some people prepare the local one. So we are giving them that opportunity to start doing this business, because without this business, they cannot be self-dependent, self-reliance. They cannot become as women as they can. They cannot become and help their family, because now all the problem are women helping their family. If you don't have any business that will be self-reliant, so you cannot be able to continue surviving as these Nigerians going now.
All right, thank you so much, Aja. Yes, thank you so much, Ambassador Usaina. We agree with you, that we need to strengthen the group, female farmer groups. We need to be able to put them together. There is strength in numbers, and there's also better decision making when women are able to work together. Thank you so much. So the next question is now for Dr. Zainab. So Dr. Zainab, with a lot of interventions and programs that you have launched for training and support to women in agribusiness, and picking on what Ambassador Usaina has just said, what kind of training do you think are most impactful for rural women, especially those that have limited formal education?
Thank you, Bukola. Forgive my angle. I'm very terrible at selfies. You know that. So good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
So yeah, we have quite a few projects that we're working on to train farmers. So I will personally say the training that I think is mostly good or accepted by rural women is training on good agronomic practice and basic financial literacy. But if you ask me to choose one, I would say good agronomic practice. These women are rural farmers. They are used to traditional means of farming. So they are used to what their parents and their grandparents have been doing. So when we come to introduce new good agronomic practice, new technology, innovation, new ways of doing things, it kind of go a long way for them. For example, the climate resilient seeds or biofortified seeds we're working on now. Last year, we tried to bring in, I'm just trying to be practical here, so just you hear a lot of stories from me. So last year, we tried to push the biofortified crops to some farmers. So there was a lot of resistance in terms of acceptance, because we still have issues with farmers confusing biofortification and genetically modified crops. So this year, I worked with another set of farmers, and even the ones that we reached out to last year, Bukola, we're working on this together. So we try to create awareness and do demo for them to see how these products work. For example, now if they are going to buy seeds as a seed producer, they will ask you, how much a yield am I getting from this variety? So when you tell them you can get a basket of tomato for using so variety and so quantity, they will be expecting to get that. And that particular variety is capable of giving you that. But because they don't know the good agronomic practices, the process, the procedures to follow in order to get that particular yield, they tend to lose a lot of money and resources. So I really like when one of the speakers mentioned sourcing quality seeds. I think it's very important. It's very key. We cannot talk for 1.5 hours and on agriculture and not mention the importance of sourcing the good and quality seeds. So with regards to this question, Bukola, I think the most important or the most impactful topic that women like during our project, I think, is the good agronomic practice and basic financial literacy. So.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Zainab Gwadebe. Yes, we agree. When female farmers have the knowledge for good agronomy practices, then they have better ability to put that decision into practice on their farms. And so the next question will be for Madam Olamide, but please, to all our panelists, we're trying to keep the time. So we have like less than 30 minutes. I would like you to just use your time judiciously. If you can answer between 30 seconds to 50 seconds, it will do us a lot of good. So Olamide Alao Akala, picking up from Dr. Zainab's talk about good agronomy practices, we all cannot talk about the role of women without looking into climate change and sustainable agriculture. So you in Umera Farms, you are committed to aligning with sustainable development goals. What sustainable practices do you believe can help smallholder farmers in horticulture become more productive while protecting the environment?
So for the small farm owners, I mean, I don't really work with small farm owners. And basically, at Umera Farms, we deal with cash crops. And one of the things we try to do is make sure that we space out our crops very well because of the climate change. And then we also what we do with the women is cassava. And most of the things that, in fact, in this class, I'm also learning. I've learned so many things. But however, we do not, I don't think I can answer your question.
All right,
Because
you want to
no,
pass
I don't
on that
really, I
question?
don't really work with rural women. Yes, I support. I know the things they do behind the scenes, but I don't work directly with them. I'm not on field to do that with them. So I don't think I can answer the question. Yeah.
All right, so I think you will pass on that. We will come back to you with another question, assuredly.
Yeah.
But talking about climate smart agriculture and climate financing, we want to roll back to Tolulope. And so the question for Tolulope is on gender equality and climate action. So being an advocate of gender equality and climate action, how can rural women in agriculture be better integrated into climate action initiatives? And what role can organizations like Roddenberry Foundation play?
Okay, I think there's already a mismatch between how that question was conceived, because Roddenberry Foundation offers grants to businesses or initiatives that are doing things around food security in Africa. So I serve as, Roddenberry Foundation is in the US, so I serve as one of their evaluators for their various application rounds. I think I will just pull you back to the issue of accessing climate financing for women smallholder farmers instead, because that question is a mismatch to the response that I will probably be able to prefer. Now, when we talk about, I see a lot of buzzword around climate financing. I think we should first of all pipe low with using a lot of buzzwords. First of all, there are historical issues that impede women's participation or in accessing financing. And I think it's very good for us to first of all touch based on what are these issues. majorly hinging on what level of support can women harness. We first of all look at the historical aspect and the cultural aspect. We talk about patriarchy. How many women in the north, for instance, can say they own lands? And first of all, before you can go and access financing, you will first be able to have some level of collateral. And so that's a big issue. So now in the face of climate change, which is further compounding the issues that women face, especially women smallholder farmers, who basically depend on rain-fed agriculture, you know, there are lots of historical perspectives to these things. For instance, now, when cash crop and food crops, cash crops were introduced, during the colonization era, we realized that women were 100% sidelined, and it became a tax for the men. This again has already pulled up women and now left women to deal more with food crops. Now, in dealing more with food crops, there were no interventions and supports to safeguard women participation in this angle. So we can summarize these things to say things like land ownership. And again, we need to understand that women have their peculiar issues. Let me give a practical example. If an extension agent goes to a rural environment today, because most of these extension agents are men, it's easy for them to relate with men of their kind. And now when they take interventions to the rural environment, like trainings and stuff, they are easy to align with men. Now they organize training. How well are our trainings understanding women peculiar issues and being inclusive of the women in the design and structuring? Women who have children, for example. You have kids, and then somebody calls you for a training. And then where would you keep your kids? The training is not structured in a way that factors this. For example, the training has to be in the outset. Women do not have autonomy to be able to decide. So when we start talking about climate financing, it's not climate financing. It's financing in the face of climate change. And we understand that it's no longer negotiable to say that women should not be empowered. Women play a significant role, especially at the point when cash crops and food crops were separated. Women are more responsible to the care of their household, but their contribution are not well documented for. So forever, I don't know who, I really don't understand with clarity the type of audience we have for this webinar, but I would want to assume that the rural smallholder farmers themselves are not here. So when we talk about interventions to support women in the rural environment, we need to begin to think about understanding the peculiarities of women. If you're a policymaker, what level of advocacy, what level of policy formation are you using to put women's needs and women's suggestions on the table? And then this is all of these things that begin to create financing tailored in the face of climate change to address women issues. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tolulope, for clarity on that, and we agree with you so clearly that women, it is no longer negotiable that women play a key role in food security. And whilst we are trying to create the strategies to include women in what we do in horticulture, we must understand their unique peculiarities. We must understand what has been their limitations and their barriers. Thank you so much. But the next question is for Olajumoke, and please, we would like you to take your answers very shortly because of time. Now, I'm talking about financial products for women. What strategies or products have proven most effective in increasing financial inclusion for low-income rural women? And how do you think this can be expanded to support rural women in horticulture?
Okay, thank you very much, Bukola, and I'm glad that Tolu delved a lot into that aspect. So I'm just going to, in terms of product, like I mentioned earlier, the product has to be tailored to the segments themselves. Like when one of the partners one of the panelists was talking, she mentioned groups. She mentioned the likes of the VSLA, bringing these women together. Tolu also mentioned that these women lack collateral. They are time poor. They there are so many things. The people that are delivering the training and those people that is and they receiving the training, the mismatch. So if we are going to be talking about products, the product has to be designed in such a way that it addresses these barriers, their literacy level, the micro loans, is it in tandem to their crop cycle? So for instance, you should not be giving them loan for maybe 3 months and their cycle is within 6 months. Are they supposed to repay? So then I'm saying horticulture focused solutions, programs that I like the fact that there are literacy programs ongoing for this segment. How do you key into it and maximize the potentials? You understand? Like we said, we have to work with what they have already. If you are trying to do a total paradigm shift, we lose them. You understand? Because what we are designing does not match their reality. Sorry, does not match their oh my God, reality. Then, secondly, we should not underscore the importance of public-private partnerships. So favorable government policies that would also entice the private sector to further go and do it if they have the backing of the right policies. So what we do in terms of things like this, we also do a lot of policy advocacy amongst multiple stakeholders. What's the best way for us to what are the strategies that would fit and also improve the lives of these women? So those are the little things I just wanted to add. I know we are short on time, so let me just stop here.
Yes, thank you.
Time, really.
No, really, it's just, we like to keep to time. So,
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Jumoke. I cannot agree with you more that we need to really look into the sector and really find where it fits. I think it is, you cannot design the program, you cannot design the intervention for us without us. So you really need to put the perspective of the women while you're designing the intervention. Thank you so much. So that brings us to Dr. Zainab. Now, so, looking at the issues with financial inclusion, looking at the issues with access to production resources, and like you talked about, working with farmers and giving input. And what advice would you give to rural women, smallholder farmers, that want to expand their agribusiness and who also are seeking for economic opportunities in Nigeria's horticulture subsector?
Okay, to make it short, my advice to rural women is there are a lot of opportunities coming to rural women now. So, but when these opportunities come, based on my experience, women tend to not commit to the support or to the opportunity. For example, there are local governments we go to support them with our women, our seed project women outgrower program. What we did is we went to them and we tell them, okay, we are giving you seeds. You're also paying 50% for fertilizer, 50% at harvest, and you're also paying for chemicals. That is all the commitment. But the fact that they are committing something, they are putting something inside, they were not willing to do that. So my advice to them is when opportunities like this come, you don't have to say you are getting the return on what you spent immediately. Sometimes when they call you for these trainings and tell you they are not giving you transport money or they are not feeding you, go for it, learn. That knowledge is going to be the profit you're making from that commitment you make. So my advice is don't just expect to get return on investment immediately. When they say there is a free training, if it means walking a kilometer or two, I don't mind doing that. So you should as well take advantage of any learning opportunity that comes to you. There is always a price, or I'll say there is a profit in any knowledge you gain. So don't wait for anybody to tell you, I'm giving you transport, I'm giving you food. Go for the knowledge. So that is my advice to them.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Gwadabe. And I also would pick from Tolu, who says, We probably do not have the rural women within our webinar, but we are the voices of the rural women, and we will sure take back this information to them to say, every information you're getting from every training can be monetized. You don't have to really look forward to making the quick gains. Get value in the training, get value in being developed. Thank you so much for that. So the last question we have for Ambassador Usaina is, Dr. Zainab just spoke largely about trainings and how women perceive trainings if it doesn't bring immediate gratification. So through your vocational school, you have been able to empower many women and young people with practical skills. So what experiences have you had, and what are the opportunities that are available for some of these rural women that we're working with right now that they can tap into and benefit as well?
Okay, thank you, Bukola. So these rural women that you are working with, they need to get vocational training on horticulture, like organic farming training. After organic farming training, there is need for processing of their produce, like hibiscus, moringa, pumpkin, okra, mint leaf, curry leaves, or some tomatoes, pepper, etc. They have to get training on how to package this thing, how to process it well, how to sell it in the market, through agri show, through trade fair. They have to bring their product, even in the group, even in the cooperative, even in their local government, even during Salah ceremonies, etc. So they have to get training on that. Also, they have to be trained on new methods on preservation. How to preserve their produce. Also, there is need for greenhouse management. To make greenhouse, there is need for them to be trained on home gardening. How are they going to farm within their house, within the compound? How are they going to farm? How are they going to see what is the product that is profitable in the market? So you have to train them on that new season. Sometimes there is a dry season, there is a rainy season. All this season has its own products for that season. So let you train them. When the season of granite comes, let them train on the granite issues. When the tomato season comes, let them train on how to dry it, how to package, different methods, different ways of training. So these women, if they are acquiring this training through MS's leadership, through NGOs, even through governments, if they are getting this kind of training, they will boost their economy. They will also work and train others, step-down training. So vocational training for them is very important in horticulture. You have to find any training, any relevant training, because different locality, different training. Because you may see one local government, their vocational horticulture training is different from another locality. So we have to consider all this in our training. We have to make sure that they have the ability of equipment, ability of the products that you will be giving training on it. Thank you, Bukola. In short, because of
so much. Yes, thank you so much, Ambassador. I like the way that you use your time, and I hear you. Women, and just like Dr. Zainab just said, you're tilting a lot towards the information, the training. We should let these women be more strengthened in their capacity, what they know how to do. So this takes me to the last question that we have for Olamide, talking about leadership and training. So Olamide, you run a Made for More conference and Umera Business School, and you have built a strong foundation for leadership. So what leadership skills do you think women, female farmers need to thrive in the agricultural sector? And how can we nurture this?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think one of the major things that the rural women need to understand is integrity. Most of them are just not, we are here, we are trying to protect them, we're trying to defend them, we're trying to promote them, we're trying to empower them, but most of them are not just honest with their dealings. And I have dealt with a lot of them, a lot of rural women, and you find out that sometimes they're just out to cheat people, to cheat even you that are educated. So I think one of the leadership skills that they really need to understand, Yes. So one of the leadership skills that they really, really need to imbibe is integrity. They need to understand that the fact that they're on the lower level doesn't mean that they shouldn't be honest. They should be honest in their dealings with people. That is one. And speaking about them, I know that most of the rural women are not in the room right now. Most of us here, I don't know if we have any policymakers, people that can advocate for them, because we need to protect them. And I think one of the reasons why they're not honest with their dealings is because they feel like they need to do whatever they can do to get what they want. So if we have policies that are protecting them, policies that are guiding, policies that are making things more standardized in our nation, maybe that would help. Maybe that would help them to be able to be more honest in their dealings. Because you find out that in my area, for instance, I would say when you want to buy cashew nuts and you meet with this rural women to buy cashew nuts from them, they are mixing these cashew nuts with other things. You find that you're buying a sack of cashew nuts and sometimes you find stones inside mixed with the nuts. So, I mean, and these are rural people, rural women selling stuff like that to people. So the reason why they're doing that is just because they want to get more out of what they're doing. So if there are policies that are helping them to understand how, if there are policy protections, making them get more from their produce, maybe they wouldn't do that anymore. So integrity is one skill that they really need to imbibe. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Olajumoke. And we hear you, and I think Aisha too also hears you, and everybody here working with rural women hear you. And we'll sure take back that message. And so the last question for you, Aisha too, and you have a lot, to really fill in for all these women that you're standing in for right now. So you talked earlier about the nutritional impact of what you do. And we cannot talk about women without talking about nutrition, security, especially for their family. So how does the local processing of tomato and pepper improve your family nutrition and even amongst your group? And if possible, can you share some of these nutritional benefits and experience that you have had with the larger group?
Okay, hello. Yes, I heard all what has been said on the rural women, and I agree with what other women have spoken about, and they're also on the nutritional aspect. Yes, without these vegetables, most of the women and their children cannot be well fed. So in doing that, in order to prevent malnutrition and also to improve the health of our women and their children, we dry these vegetables. After drying them, we make them into powder. We have the powder pack, and we have those that will make a paste. We train them how to make a paste of tomato, pepper, and onions. And we make them how to make it dry, a powder, so that it can be used during the raining day. If they cannot have access to buy tomato when it is very costly in the market, they can easily bring their powdered tomato or powdered pepper and use it. Even the okra, it can be used during that season. So we make it then. So we educate our women and other women also to keep this tomato. As you know, these nutrients makes one to grow. Most especially the women, the pregnant women and the children. It makes them to grow well and also prevent other diseases that can easily come into the women and their children. And also we have these tomatoes or these vegetables. One of their benefits delays one from aging, and also it encourages easy access to edification. By taking this nutrients, you will not have constipation more. And also, we educate women to use these vegetables, either dry or wet, so that it can.
To cut you short, Aisha, please, you can round up. Please just round up.
Okay, so this is exactly what we do to our women. And the powder, the reason why we keep the powder is just to prevent them from getting out of it. So once there is at home, it can be used at any time and at any day. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You know, you're talking from a lot of experience. If we let you, you will go on and on and on. But so we have a question on the question and answer chat box on Zoom. And looking at the way the question was structured, I think I want to pass it to Olamide Alao Akala. And this question is, any experience sharing on how to ensure a formidable structure for women along the value chain for agricultural produce? Hello, Olamide, are you here? Okay, I might just pass it. Olamide, okay, maybe let me just pass it to Zainab, because Zainab also works with women across the value chain. So let me take the question again, Zainab. Any experience sharing on how to ensure a formidable structure for women along the value chain for agricultural produce? So Zainab, also seeing you have 75% female in the workforce for seed project. So what can you share with this anonymous attendee of the webinar?
Sorry, Bukola, I lost you. Can you please come again with the question?
Okay, gladly. So the question is, any experience sharing on how to ensure a formidable structure for women along the value chain for agricultural produce? Do you get that, Zainab? So I think the person wants to know if there is anything we can discuss about how to integrate women along agricultural value chain. How can we create structures that will last? So if you can please give us a response.
Thank you, Bukola. If anyone wants to bring in women or integrate women into the agribusiness value chain, I think the most important thing, especially at the very early stage, the most important thing is working with women in groups, like putting them in cluster. It goes a long way, because some of the issues we are facing or we have faced is recovery in terms of seed production. But when we try to put these women in cluster to work in group, I think if one woman is not willing to work, the other will push the other one to work. And if it is support or funding that you're giving them, if one woman wants to just not work with the resources you give them, the other one might be careful and advise the other one not to misuse the funds or the whatever resources you're giving them. So I think, especially at the very early stages, it is very good to put them in groups, and it goes a long way. So eventually, if they grow and you see the performance of them individually, you can be able to bring and start working with them individually. But group and clustering is very important. It works a lot.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zainab. I hope we have been able to answer your question that you dropped on the chat box. Thank you for engaging with HortiNigeria and Swis Africa on this very important International Day for Rural Women 2024. And we would like to draw the curtain here, but we will not be doing that without giving a 30-minute reflection time to all our panelists. And before they come in, I just want to also chip in, 3 things that we have, been able to put together as an action point. Firstly, is that going forward from here, we will sure to tell the rural women we are engaging with in HortiNigeria and different developmental projects of IFDC that there is no immediate gratification. The ROI, that's the return on investment, does not come immediately, so they need to put time. We will also be sure to strengthen the information that knowledge is power. Once you have knowledge, you are being developed. And then we'll also work to ensure that the women we are working with maintain integrity, and our policy advocacy is able to protect these women so that they do not connive and they do not lose their integrity in the way. So I would start in no particular order, but as I see it, on my screen with Ambassador Usaina to give us a 30 minutes or 20 seconds, reflection and a closing remark from your table, and then I call on everybody one after the other. Thank you so much, everybody, for sticking with us. We are 4 minutes behind or past our schedule. So, Ambassador Usaina, if we can have your closing remark for the event.
So thank you, Bukola. I'm very happy to be with you this afternoon. And this is knowledgeable. I learned a lot from this webinar. So by God's grace, we'll go out and mobilize our rural women to know that you are existing horticulture and how are they going to form together to help them, also to give them training, to learn a lot on the seeds, to learn a lot on horticulture, to learn a lot from you. So the thing we learned here from Hajia Aisha Kaduna, how she is processing her vegetables and fruits. So we learn a lot from her. We learn a lot from everybody that's been here. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. Inshallah, by God's grace, you will see more women. We will mobilize them. We will change their mindset on how to accept this knowledge is power. Knowledge is money. So we will work with it, inshallah. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ambassador, for your time as well. So we will also take a closing reflection from Dr. Zainab Gwadabe.
Thank you, Bukola. I just want to add to what she just said. I we learned a lot from each other today. I have been in the industry for quite some time, but I learned something today. So I would also like to encourage the rural women to keep learning, and whenever an opportunity comes, they should just close their eyes and take it, and they should open their minds to trying new things. Just because their parents and their great-grandparents have been using a particular approach towards farming doesn't mean they should not try to adapt to all these new technologies and innovation in farming. They should open their minds and be willing to learn.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zainab. We will continue to put that information out. So Aisha to Ahmed, let us have your closing remark and how you will sure encourage your women to continue to learn. So let us hear from you, Aisha.
Oh, thank you very much. I really learned a lot during this seminar. And yes, I would really like to see more of collaboration and partnership with other agencies, whereby these women also will have more training and more access to partners and also more access to processing industry. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aisha. We are sure that you'll be telling that to your farmers, making sure that when the processor comes, they will have their integrity intact. So we're going to roll the ball to Olajumoke Daramola. Let us have your reflection on financial inclusion.
Okay, thank you, Bukola. Mine is more like a call to action. So a call to action to investors and donors for them to invest and support climate initiatives that empower low-income women to build resilience and also adapt to environmental changes that would help them sustain their livelihoods, because we've spoken a lot and everything costs money for them to do, for us to empower these women, for us to ensure that they are literate enough to take in all these learnings. So that's my call to action for investors and donors, so they support the improvement of their livelihood and thereby fostering better gender equality and environmental sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jumoke, for your time and also for your reflection. Yes, we will sure be putting that out also to our donors to say women can become the drivers of climate sustainable agricultural practices with a bit more push for funds. So we will also be taking closing reflection from Olamide. Hello, Olamide, are you there? You can unmute yourself and give us your closing remark or reflection in 20 seconds. Okay, so before she can do that, let us have Tolulope give us our own closing remark or reflection. Hello, can we have Tolulope or Olamide? Can you hear me? All right, I think we're having some network glitches all around. It has been an interesting 1.5 hours as we have earmarked for this event. Thank you so much for joining HortiNigeria and Swis Africa to campaign for resilient rural women in agriculture. We are looking at how we unlock opportunities through stakeholder engagement. And I promise you, it has been an interesting and good use of 1.5 hours. Thank you that we overstepped into the time by 10 minutes. And we also apologize for the glitches that we had at the beginning of the event. But thank you for sticking with us. Let us do this next year. And before then, remember that we need to protect the rural women. We need to protect the environment, and we need to ensure that everything we do, we ensure that gender equality is propelled. Happy International Day of the Rural Women 2024. And thank you for celebrating with HortiNigeria. Bye-bye and have a
Bye-bye.
good
Thank you, Bukola. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
thank you. Bye-bye.